Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Classics with Courtney. And after a month of taking a quick break, I am back. And we are going to kickstart the month getting ready for Easter with David and Bathsheba. At the time of recording this, it is Palm Sunday. The day it drops will be Good Friday. And of course, that is a couple of days before Resurrection Sunday. So I hope you guys had a great Palm Sunday and a good, safe Easter weekend. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on this review. David and Bathsheba, released in 1951, distributed by 20th Century Fox, and starring Gregory Peck and Susan Hayward. Music by Alfred Newman and directed by Henry King. Our story begins as King David sees to matters in Jerusalem after returning from battle.
God looks with favor on your plan to bring the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem. But as to your intention of building a temple to receive the Ark, he has commanded me to say this to you. Thus speaks the Lord. Should my servant David build me a house to dwell in? For I have not dwelt in a house since the day I brought the Israelites up out of Egypt.
God sees no need of a temple. Is that it?
That is his word.
You promised me as the heir to Israel all the vineyards north of the Mount of Olives as far as the borders of Ephraim. Yet you have given the large vineyard on the Gibeon Road to Absalom.
Did I?
Only last month you said it was mine, yet Amnon claims it.
I demand only justice.
And what does Absalom demand?
Justice, too.
Then no matter how I decide, I am unjust.
Why did you marry me, David? Why?
Because I loved you.
David, the beloved of David.
Whatever you say.
My love was wasted. You had no need of it.
Is your memory so short? I had great need of it once.
Geez, David, you have one pestering wife. Something tells me I'm not going to like this character. And this is how our story progresses. David invites Bathsheba, played by Susan Hayward, to his home for dinner, and things get heated.
Has Uriah been away for long?
We have been married 7 months. Of this time, we've been together 6 days.
A poor return on the hopes of your betrothal. You are generous indeed not to hate me. That is for virtue. Uriah is a fool. When I looked on you from my terrace tonight, I knew that every future moment spent away from you would be a moment lost. Yet he's found only 6 days for you in 7 months. The perfume of his beloved is the stink of war. Does he think that a man was made only for the agony of battle? Does he call that manhood? Has he no blood, no heart? What do you want?
To please you.
Have I not made it plain enough that you please me? I'll never send you away.
After some time, David and Bathsheba grow closer to each other, and David is reminded of his old friend.
A woman is interested in everything about her man, particularly in what he was before she knew him.
Well, there's not much to tell. I was a shepherd like thousands of others in Judah. Yes.
I saw the king die. Saw him fall on his sword when he knew the battle was lost.
Tell me, did you also see the king's son die? Jonathan.
Yes, sir. It was a black day for Israel. The king gone, Jonathan gone. None worthy to take their place.
Yet Israel found a king in David.
Saul was king. Jonathan should be king today.
Bathsheba reveals her news to David, and Uriah returns.
I bring you trouble. Our secret is no longer a secret.
Who has learned it?
No one yet. But soon all will know who have eyes to see. I am with child.
Beloved.
Quick note here, I do love the accuracy that Bathsheba goes to David and tells him that she is with child. Although granted, of course, the timeline is mixed up. Comparing the Bible story to the film, the events of David and Bathsheba laying together and then her being with child is relatively short. Whereas in this movie, they basically lay together. They have many a days of, I don't know, I guess peace between them two, if you want to call it that. And then she comes to him and says that she's with child. So there is more stuff added in between then that doesn't make it as short as the Bible story. But I do like when the film does have the accuracy to follow certain parts of the Bible.
Is it not understandable if she seeks a meaning for it elsewhere?
With another man?
Yes.
If she does, she breaks the law.
You would force her to suffer the most horrible of deaths. Let the mob drive her like a dog through the streets to the city gates. Watch the cruel stones strike her flesh.
Yes, sir. If she had broken the law.
Set Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle. It is his own wish, Abishai. Even his own words. Set Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle and retire from him that he may be smitten and die. Yes. When it is finished, seal it and give it to Uriah. Yes, sir.
After the death of Uriah, David and Bathsheba marry, and both Israel and David suffer greatly.
The child is better.
No, sir.
The physicians can do no more. They say he will die.
I know. I have known it these 7 days.
I come on a matter of justice, sire. Hear and render judgment.
Hey, here comes one of my favorite Bible stories. And yes, I'm not gonna lie, I am mostly reminded of the story because of VeggieTales.
There were two men, one rich and one poor. The rich man owned great flocks and herds. But the poor man had naught but one ewe lamb. He reared it, and it grew up with him and his children. It ate of his food and drank of his cup, and it was like a daughter to him. Now there came a wayfarer to the rich man, asking meat. But the rich man did not take of his own flocks to feed his guest. Instead, he took the poor man's one ewe lamb and slew it and prepared it for the wayfarer. What is your verdict upon this man?
He shall restore the lamb sevenfold.
The lamb is dead. It cannot be restored.
Then the man deserves to die because he had no pity.
You are the man.
The people are ready to pass judgment, and David spends some time with Bathsheba.
Now I know how Uriah died. I think I really knew before our marriage. Knew and put it from my mind. I lacked the courage to face the truth. My guilt is as great as yours. Greater. Because I let you bear the burden of it alone.
I killed him.
I wished him dead. God sees into our hearts, David.
I felt his mercy when the wolves had fled and my flock was safe. When spring broke the grip of snow and ice. When the cool wind blew after the heat of the day. I saw his splendor and the flowers blazing on the hillsides. The stars burning in the sky. knew his hand in everything.
I think this is one of the film's best scenes, mostly due to Gregory Peck's awesome acting and the incredible score by Alfred Newman. Here's the nitpick on my part. I'm not particularly a fan of Susan Hayward's acting here. I honestly think there could have been more of a, emotion from her end, like, maybe a tear drops to her face and it glistens, in the camera, that, old Hollywood style, of course. And I don't know, I think there was just something missing in that performance. And I don't know, to me, this is a weak link in the film, but I'll get to that later. But that is the only nitpick about the scene that I wanted to bring up. I think Gregory does a great job, and I like the score. Desperate and angry, David goes and seeks the Lord.
Oh, God. Thou God of my early youth, hear my prayer. Let thine eyes, which alone see clearly, fall upon thy worthless servant. My crimes are many and terrible. To my sons I have bequeathed the evil that is in my blood. I have led my people into misery and want. Take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Thy Spirit, which abode with me in the wilderness. I ask nothing for myself, O God. By my sins, I have put myself beyond the compass of thy forgiveness. But lift thine hand from thy people, who suffer for my crimes. Forgive them the sin that is not theirs, but mine. Let the land thou gavest their fathers flow once more with thine abundance. Look not on the sinner who comes before thee, but on the boy he was, who loved thee and who would have died for thee.
This is another fantastic scene. Not only is the scene itself very, very good, but it's very realistic. Many of us, especially Christians, we do things every day that we're not proud of. Everybody does. But the Lord will often reveal to us, hey, you might want to stop doing that, or, you don't want to go down this road. And sometimes we don't heed to that warning. I know, I've done it. I've neglected the Lord before. And it's times like that when something drastically might happen, and then the first thing you want to do is blame God, or, just go, why didn't you just, do this, or something like that. And again, this scene is very relatable because David ultimately is angry with God. He is hurt and mad, but it isn't until he goes to the tabernacle in front of the Lord that anger becomes sorrow, and he realizes he was in the wrong. It's times like that where I really can relate to David, and I can think, has the Lord abandoned me? And he hasn't. It's just that idea that during that trial, it's going to be hard, but God will also help you to get through it as well. So, like I said, this scene is really good. It's relatable, and Gregory does an amazing job here. So, again, well done on this moment. After David's prayer, God answers with rain, and David returns to Bathsheba. My God, run and over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the I just love the orchestral score, especially the oldies when you've got that beautiful sound and then the vocals of the choir come in. It's just, I love it. I love old scores like that. And even Howard Shore did it with Lord of the Rings. So I love scores like that. That was David and Bathsheba. I saw this movie several years ago, and I remembered that I didn't like it, but I haven't remembered much of it other than the tabernacle scene. Everything else I completely forgot about. So I thought I'm going to give it another watch and see what I think about it now. So what did I think about it? It's okay. I think it was just a little too boring and too long for a David and Bathsheba story. Certain scenes could have been trimmed down, and other scenes could have easily been cut. This scene, for example, it's the scene when David and Bathsheba go into town and a woman is being stoned for adultery. Now, this was an interesting scene to add, showing how this woman and David's sins were similar, maybe giving David a moment to reflect on his own sin, a remorseful look before turning away, something, anything that would have given us more of a hook between David and this poor woman being punished in the street. However, that's not how the scene goes. It's just she gets punished in the street. He looks like he's about to go over, but the one guy, like guard or whatever, says, "No, sire, don't do that. She's being punished." Then he sends Bathsheba away and just walks all through through like into the city or something. Okay, so that scene added nothing. You could have had that scene made a more impact, and I could have easily seen that. But no, it was a waste of time. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of money. It was a waste of a movie. They easily could have cut that scene altogether, or you could have done it the way I said it, which was get like close up on Gregory Peck's face. Maybe have that remorse look like, oh my gosh, that's me, except I'm not the one being punished right now, And, maybe he could have had more of a gumption like, oh my gosh, I'm going to rescue her. And maybe the guards actually have to hold him back. That would have made it more emotional. But like I said, it's a waste. I also had a personal nitpick with the casting. I like Gregory Peck a lot, do not get me wrong. I think he's a capable actor. I really like him a lot. But my biggest problem was Susan Hayward. I'm sorry. I just never been a fan of her. I have seen her in several movies. And most of the movies I have seen her in, she's always either the bad guy or the anti-bad guy. Like, oh, she's bad, but she, kind of gets a moment in the movie where it's like, oh, okay, well, it worked out, so therefore we can like her, kind of. I don't know. It's just, she had never done anything for me as an actor. And yes, there are movies like her, I guess, nominated performance where she's an alcoholic or something. I forget what the movie's called, but I do want to see that one at some point. And there was one on another channel. I can't think of the name, but I'll give him a tag on here. He brought up a movie that I do want to see as well. It looks cute, but overall, Susan just never did anything for me, and I just her casting here to me felt miscast. I think that we could have gotten another Bathsheba. I don't know, like maybe Elizabeth Taylor. I think maybe that might have been an interesting choice, but I don't know. Just I think Susan Hayward was miscast. Gotta bring up my man here just for a split second, but honestly, I could have seen Alan Ladd play David for multiple reasons. And I think he would have been excellent as David. Not necessarily in this portion of the story. Like maybe if you did a David versus Goliath story, I think he would have been excellent in that. granted, this movie came out in 1951, and he would have been too old to play David by that point, so he would have been better off to do that character in his younger days. But I digress. I'm just saying Alan could have easily played David, and I would have loved to see that happen. I also want to bring up that David and Bathsheba does not have a big cast. Basically, the only two big people we have is Gregory and Susan, and you're left to rely on them to keep you invested. And like I said, Gregory Peck does a good job, but at the same time, I don't think he and Susan were enough to keep the film invested. Compare this movie, for example, to The Ten Commandments. Say you're not a fan of Charlton Heston's acting. No problem. You have Yul Brynner in the cast. You got Sir Cedric Hardwicke. You have Edward G. Robinson. You have Vincent Price. Yvonne DiCarlo. You had a big cast of actors that if you didn't like one, you had a bunch of other big names at that time that you can go, oh, I loved watching this person. I'm invested in this person. So, again, when you look at how small the cast really is in David and Bathsheba, that also kind of poses a bit of an issue. I also hated the added drama of Michael. I think she's annoying. She's also pointless. Even the sons of David were kind of pointless. They get into a fight early on in the film. This is before the big sin of David. And, later the one boy goes with Michael and kind of accuses his dad, but not verbally. He's just there for support. And it's just like, they were totally useless, And I don't know. If the movie was going to be this long, I think the story would have been better off if you would have cut a lot of the unnecessary scenes and you could have had David losing his sons, because he is warned about that in the film. But we end on a happy note. There is no more drama after David repents. So, I don't know. It's just, I'm finding more and more things to really complain about, I guess. Is there anything I liked about the movie? Well, when it's accurate to the Bible, sure. I like the fact that David does summon Bathsheba, which happens in the Bible. She goes to him and tells him she's with child. That is also accurate. David sending Uriah to the forefront. Also, the moment where he tells Uriah, go home. But then later that night, he's told he didn't even leave your palace. He's sleeping with your guards, like in the guardhouse. And he was. And that's what happened in the Bible too. Uriah didn't go home. He stayed in the palace. So that was another good, accurate point in the Bible. So I did like that. I like the flashbacks too. I like young David being anointed by Samuel. I like that David fights Goliath. Except they kind of messed that one up too, because Goliath throws 3 spears at David and David gets pinned at one point. That's not accurate. So I didn't like that either. But for the most part, I did like the flashbacks. I also like the scene where David goes off in the night and he reminisces about his friend. I do like moments like that. So there are moments in the film that I did enjoy. In conclusion, David and Bathsheba is just okay. It's not the best biblical film I've ever seen, nor is it the worst. Not by a long shot. And that wraps up my review of David and Bathsheba. So let me know in the comments below if you have seen this movie and what are your thoughts. If you haven't seen it, did I pique your interest, or is this a giant you don't want to face? Thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video, and happy Easter weekend. Happy Resurrection Sunday, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye! Have a great and wonderful day.